today's the day, and we're going to talk about it. And more than talk about it, we're going to share some thoughts. Now, those of you who know me, those of you who have had conversations with me or have worked with me or who have even just met me for a few minutes, you know who I am. You know what I stand for. You know that integrity means everything to me. Authenticity means everything to me. You know that I walk my talk. And I'm going to do that today. You also know that I stand on the side of humanity, that through my work and through my personal journey, my own evolution and understanding and experiences, that I don't believe in either or, that I take a middle way, a middle path, a middle perspective, that I see things from a very balanced perspective. Maybe that's the Libra in me, I don't know. But I see things from a very balanced perspective. I see things from every angle. I see things. And I have learned over the course of my journey to trust myself and my intuition above everything that I'm seeing, everything that I'm hearing, what other guides, what other psychics, what other spiritualists, what other people, even those that I respect wholeheartedly, what they say. I trust my connection to myself, my connection to God, the universe. And I always will. Bar none, I always will. So that is where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a place where my entire life has been about humanity. It's in the teachings that I share. It's in the channelings that I do. It's in the books that I write. It is who I am at the core. That is where I am coming from. That is where I've always come from. That is my integrity. That is who I am. That is my heart. That is my soul. That will never change. So when I say that it is more important now than ever to connect to yourself and your intuition, to have discernment, and to embody that unity consciousness, I mean it with every single fiber of my being. This is what the inner work has been for. This is what your journey has been for. It has not been about a relationship. It has not been about all the external. It is about this. It is about uniting each other in an energy of compassion and empathy and kindness and love. And the thing that I'm realizing for myself is that I'm not going to be afraid to step up and speak up. Because if so many people can talk about division and separation and coming from a place of hatred and bigotry and misogyny and prejudice and judgment, then I can speak up from a place of love and unity and compassion and kindness. And fucking hell, I'm going to do that. This whole past year has been a personal revelation for me, where I have stepped into an energy where, again, I've been through it. I have been through my darkness. I have sat with others in theirs. I know what it is like. I know who I am. I know my connection. I'm going to trust in that. So when I say that this is where I am, I mean that with my whole heart. If this is something that doesn't resonate for you, that's fine. That is fine. I wish you well and I love you so much. But this is where I'm headed. This is what we're doing now because I just can't sit back and watch. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know how to share everything that I want to share. It has been an emotional morning. I have tried very hard over many, many years to understand all the different sides of this scenario, of this election. Very hard. I do not have allegiance to any one or the other. None. My allegiance is to humanity. My allegiance is to unity consciousness. My allegiance is to empowering each individual to recognize that there is no savior outside of yourself, that everything is within you, that you are sovereign, that you are empowered, and that the kingdom of heaven that we are all searching for is literally within you. It is found within you. That is what Yeshua taught us. I'm going to share what I wrote today because it feels like a good time to share it. and then we're going to do something a little bit different. I shared a Madeline Lingo quote today that says, maybe you have to know the darkness before you can appreciate the light. And that's what it feels like. We are going through a collective ascension and a whole global spiritual awakening. But spiritual awakening isn't just learning about crystals and astrology and dabbling with tarot. Those are all tools for your connection to yourself. And before we go through our ascension journey, we have to experience that spiritual awakening to understand that, hey, things are not as they seem. That's where we are as a collective. Things are not as they seem. But it's more than that. You have to experience your own individual healing. You have to experience your own personal healing. You have to experience your own inner growth, your own expansion. That's what the ascension journey is all about. That's the next level of spiritual awakening. And you have to go through some dark nights of the soul in order to get there. It's all about excavating all those old beliefs, all those old patterns within yourself. There is so much projection onto the physical world, so much projection of pain, so much projection even of hope. Again, that's where that savior complex comes in. Looking to somebody else to be the savior, looking to somebody else to usher in the new earth, the new age, where it is all within you. That is the ripple effect. It is within you. The more you, as an individual, go through your ascension journey, the healing journey, the remembrance journey, and embody those tenets of unity consciousness, those tenets of Christ consciousness, of compassion and love and empathy, and you empower yourself, recognizing that you can't control other people. You can't control your environment, but you can control everything within yourself, that you are the empowered creator of your reality. And that has a ripple effect. The more we hold those energies of love, patience, compassion, kindness, empathy, understanding, love, joy, the more we hold those higher energies, it has a ripple effect on everything around us. And that's what creates the collective consciousness. That's what creates the new earth. Not somebody else, not an administration. It is within you. It is all within you. It is up to you, your individual work, your inner healing, your growth, your expansion. It is within you. It's not up to somebody else. That is what leadership by example is. The more that you embody that energy, the more that you embody that higher level of consciousness, that changes the whole world because it has that ripple effect. It is up to everybody. That is where personal responsibility and personal accountability comes into play. There is so much blame and so much projection, and I am sick of it. It is up to each of us to shift within ourselves so that we shift the world. It's about helping each other and supporting each other, being there for each other, in that compassion, in that empathy, not creating more division and more separation, but recognizing how interconnected we truly are. We're all interconnected. It's just our own projections and beliefs that don't even come from us, beliefs that come from upbringing and authority figures in society, telling us who we should be and what we should do, beliefs that don't even come from us, not the core of who we are. That's the excavation you're doing. That's the shift that you're creating within. Is this real? Is this actually what I believe, or is this just what I'm told to believe? That's where you use your discernment. That's where you get to know yourself so deeply, so fiercely. You get to understand yourself from the soul level. And so many people are not there yet. That is part of the ascension journey. That is part of the spiritual awakening. Most people are just at the beginning of their spiritual awakening, which is all about recognizing that there's more than meets the eye. There's more beneath the surface, but there's more. It's the embodiment that is what creates the difference. It's the embodiment that makes the shift. Otherwise, you're just getting yourself caught up in a new consciousness loop. You're just getting yourself caught up in spiritual ego. You're just getting yourself caught up in another pattern. You're just getting yourself caught up in something else by another name, another matrix by another name. It's about unity consciousness. It's about the core wound of separation that has resided and rooted in all of us, but that is the illusion, and how unity consciousness is what is real. And we just have to remember that that's what the healing journey is all about. That's what awakening and ascension is all about. It's about understanding that separation is the illusion. The division that we feed is an illusion that we're continuing to play into and play into and play into. It's all about unity consciousness. So I'm going to read something that I feel is very important right now because I have been witnessing and observing the spiritual community for many, many years now. This is not my first rodeo. This is not my first ascension. This is not my first awakening. I've been going through this for many, many years. And I have been witnessing the creation of these spiritual communities, which is amazing because spiritual communities can be a beautiful place of acceptance where people feel like they haven't had that acceptance in their lives, in their families, in their friendships. It's a place where we can cultivate community. It's a place where we can create a sense of belonging. Spiritual communities are amazing. However, it is also very rife with spiritual ego. That is something I'm very aware of because that is something that I strive to protect my community from. It is something that is very important to me. Being in my integrity, again, being in my authenticity. And one of my core teachings is to trust yourself over anything that I will say, over anything any guide, healer, or guru, or psychic, or medium will say. And as much as I respect so many mediums and psychics and healers and readers, they can get caught up in that too. And I just want to bring it to light because it's important more than ever to use discernment, but that discernment comes from connecting deeply to yourself and your truth and your intuition and what resonates for you, not based on what somebody is saying or not saying, but what resonates to the core of your soul, the core of your truth. And that is what your healing work is all about. It's about clearing out what I like to call the soul sludge, all of those beliefs, patterns, habits, projections that are coming in as outside influences so that you, in the stillness of yourself, connect deeply to yourself to understand yourself. That is so important. It is so vital right now. And in many of these spiritual circles, not all, but in many of these spiritual circles, I see spiritual ego running rampant and I want to address it. So I'm going to read from my book because writing is my medium, writing is my outlet. Writing is the way that I know how to best express myself. It always has been. Before we continue, we have to talk about something that's pretty pervasive in the spiritual community, the spiritual ego. The spiritual community spends a lot of time referring to killing the ego and being in fifth dimensional consciousness and using the phrase love and light as its tagline, and I get it. Love and light is a beautiful blessing, and I even use the phrase as a send-off for all my channelings. But do we ever stop to think about what that means or how we're embodying that for ourselves? Spirituality isn't a fad or a phase of life. It's a way of life, and a deeply personal one at that. It doesn't look or act a certain way, and it certainly doesn't adhere to clickbait quotes and sensationalized trends that is rampant in the spiritual community. Spirituality is substance. Spirituality is depth, and it's authentic to you. Love to collect crystals? Me too. Look around, me too. Into yoga? What a great way to stay fit and connect with your sacred breath. Like to swear like a sailor or speak poetically? Your choice of language is simply self-expression. Your favorite clothes are a pair of gorgeous boots or environmentally conscious clothing? Rock your look. Craving scrumptious food with some sweet tooth indulgence or maybe a raw food diet is more your thing? Chow down. Spirituality isn't the words you regurgitate. It's the song your own soul sings. Spirituality isn't being beholden to proper language and grammar. It's expressing yourself authentically. Spirituality isn't the clothes you wear, it's how you choose to present yourself to the world. Spirituality isn't the food you eat, it's the mindfulness for how you feed your body while still appreciating and enjoying the pleasures this abundant life has to offer. Spirituality isn't how many spiritual guides or ascended masters you connect with, though how beautiful it is for you to recognize how connected you are. Or how many healing modalities you've learned, although how incredible it is to have so many tools at your disposal. Or the number of tarot decks you own, though it's a great way to hone your intuition and your spiritual gifts. Spirituality isn't judgment and ostracism, but acceptance and inclusion. And anything less is spiritual ego masquerading as spiritual enlightenment. The spiritual ego is tricky. And the path of awakening is itself a journey of dismantling the false identity and what you believe spirituality to be. In the initial stage of awakening, you begin to see there's life beyond the daily existence of the routine you've been living. Then comes advocacy. the desire for things to be better, to change the world as you speak out on topics that inspire and drive you forward to create that change. We see this in the present global collective as woke culture, and protests and boycotts and individuals speaking out using their social media platforms, and it's pretty incredible to see. But this rolls into a new level of awakening, which often lends itself to spiritual ego if integration is avoided or the energies are ungrounded. The next level of awakening requires you to examine previously held beliefs, patterns, and views of yourself and the world, which can lead to a darkening of the soul where your faith is challenged and everything you've ever understood about yourself and the world is internally questioned. The problem is that most of the collective remains in the comfort zone of their previous knowing, creating cognitive dissonance or resistance when challenged to shift these tightly held beliefs. We see this particularly in the deconstruction of fundamental religion. But what is belief? And where do those thoughts and perceptions come from? Are they actually yours, or do they stem from programming created from social systems you might not even be aware of? At our earliest age, beliefs form from our experiences with family, friends, caretakers, and religious or education systems. Then those foundations are built upon through higher education, work environments, entertainment, consumerism, and experiences with the justice system, medical system, legal system, and more. Systems. Ways of doing things established by how they've been done before, forming collective beliefs, perceptions, and on the more extreme side of the spectrum, judgments. What happens if we take a closer look at our beliefs and where they originated? What happens if we dare to truly look at ourselves in our light and our shadows? What if we challenge ourselves to see through a new lens, an ulterior perspective? What happens when we begin to free ourselves from the shackles of society's perception and learn to stand in our truth, our authenticity, and our sovereignty? What if we take a pause when listening to authority, even spiritual authority, and trust in our innate wisdom and connection to self and God? As Frank L. Baum writes in The Wizard of Oz, "You've always had the power, my dear. You just had to see it for yourself." This is the hallmark of spiritual awakening. The honorable desire to change the world, along with the profound shifts taking place within, can lead to an elevated sense of self or superiority that gives way to spiritual ego. Spiritual ego is an understanding of spiritual concepts and practices at great depth, while still looking externally for resolutions or change, still looking outside of yourself for a savior. It's blindly following others rather than looking inwardly at oneself. It's the persistence of division and separation while speaking about unity and oneness. An us versus them mentality, exemplified in the popular phrase, people are sheep. This continues to create division under the illusion of oneness, while true unity consciousness understand there is no black and white, no right or left, but rather a middle way in which we all strive to exist. To free yourself from the spiritual ego is to dive deep within, to the very soul of who you believe you are and the aspect of God you know yourself to be. It's not about looking outside at the world, but inside at yourself that creates this shift. Your higher heart's truth, your connection to yourself and the universe in its shadow and its light. Ascension is in the embodiment of this connection to yourself as one with the universe and all contained within, without exception. Spirituality means acknowledging our human existence and remembering the authentic soul residing within physical form. It means seeing the darkness and giving it space and respect because even in the darkness we grow. We can have doubts. We can be afraid. But through it all, we discover the courage, the strength, and the faith to walk through that darkness, knowing we are never alone, and that we come out the other side transformed. At its core, spirituality is about developing the connection between yourself and the universe, bridging the gaps that create division between all aspects of yourself and another. It's about shifting your consciousness, not to bypass the physical world, but to become one with it, embracing your humanity and expanding your soul. It's about releasing attachments to labels and persons and things, all the self-identifying creations that make us think, as a trick of the ego, that this is all we are until we free ourselves and integrate the ego, until soul speaks louder. Spiritually isn't about what you do, but who you are. You are unity consciousness. That being said, I want to share something that I had written today. I had shared, maybe you have to know the darkness before you can appreciate the light. And then I shared this. We're creating everything from the present moment, and your energy is always going to make the biggest impact. In my business, I teach grounded spirituality. It's about leadership by example. It's about embodying the tenets of unity consciousness. It's about walking the talk. It's not about looking for someone outside of yourself to save you, but trusting yourself, your inherent connection to God, the universe. It's not about staying stuck in victimhood and lack, but taking self-accountability for your choices and each new step. It's not about letting fear overrule your faith, but recognizing yourself as an empowered creator, a unique thread in the tapestry of creation. You are part of the whole. And that means every single person on this planet is connected to you. That means every single person on this planet matters, not just you and yours. It's time we damn well start understanding this. Let that sacred anger fuel you forward, but don't let it change the core of who you are. Nurture yourself. Find your inner peace. Explore joy and surround yourself with supportive loved ones. Connect with nature as an extension of you and still love and love and love.